Hello and welcome to the third and last instructional video for making your mystery beast. Okay, in the first video we drew the body, in the second video we drew the legs and anything else we wanted to add on. And in this last video, the only thing we have left to do is to draw the little notches in. And the notches are very important because that's what holds your mystery beast together. Now the thing with these notches is the width of the notch here, of all the notches, has to be exactly the same as the thickness of the wood material. And we're using 1/8 MDF as our material, and that works out to be about 3 millimeters thick. So when we're cutting these holes in our shapes, these notches, we have to make sure that it's exactly 3 millimeters wide. And for every join you have to have two. So if you have one leg you want to join onto the body, you need a notch on the body and a matching notch on the leg. For anything else you want to add on, you have to have a notch on the add-on and a notch on the body where you want that thing to be added onto. If that makes any sense, let's go back and start here. Okay, so I said a second ago that the notches have to be exactly 3 millimeters wide. And to make that easier for you, I've drawn some sticks over on the side here. And these are what we're going to use to make our notches. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to place these where we want them to be, and then we'll subtract them from this shape, and it'll leave the empty hole where it was subtracted from. And these sticks that I drew, as you can see up here, that's 0.3 centimeters, which is exactly 3 millimeters. So if we subtract a 3 millimeter notch from there, it should leave a 3 millimeter space in there. So let's just start by, now I think I've got about 6 or 8 of them up here. If you need more, just click onto one and right click and hit duplicate, and you'll have another one on there. Let me just say though, and this is very important, a lot of students make this mistake, when you're moving these sticks around, you have to make sure that your cursor is right in the middle so that you have the little moving icon there, and press down and then move it around. If you grab onto one of the black arrows by mistake and try to move it, then you actually end up changing the shape of the notch. And the whole idea of me pre-drawing these notches for you is so that the width of the groove that you end up cutting is exactly the right amount. Now I'm going to get rid of that one I just did there, and we'll use a different one. Okay, so you drag it over and you place it about halfway there. So I'm halfway into where I want to go. If you click onto it, you'll have the little black arrows going out the side, and that's halfway up it. So you can use those black arrows as a sort of a gauge of whether you need to move it up or down or not. You can also, I find it's easier if you zoom in on your work a little bit so you can see it closer. Hit the plus button on the keyboard, zooms in. Hitting the minus button on the keyboard zooms out. So I've zoomed in a bit here now. I'm going to click onto my notch, and I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to hit this button right there, which moves that notch to the top. Now I say top because you have to sort of visualize this as a flat piece of paper with all these drawings on it, but these drawings are on different depths. They can be on top of each other or not. I know that's not a very clear explanation, but for now all you need to know is that the red needs to be higher up than the object below it in order to subtract from it. And you do that by selecting the notch and making sure you've hit this button here, which moves it to the top. Now, you also have these slide bars on the side to position your sight better. So I want to use this red stick here to make a notch in one of my legs, and I'm going to place it where I want it to be. I've got the red stick selected. Now I'm going to use my shift button and I'm going to select the leg. Now they're both selected. With both of these selected, I'm going to go to the path pull down menu, and I'm going to hit difference. And when I hit difference, it should subtract the red stick from the leg. So here we go. Hit the difference. The red stick is gone. What's left is a little notch in the leg, and that's exactly what we wanted. Okay. So now I can do the same thing with the other leg over here. I'm going to place it where I want it to be, right about there. And I'm going to make sure that that's raised up to the top. Then I'm going to use my shift button and select the other leg. They're both selected. The legs are selected. The notch is selected. I'm going to hit the path pull down menu and hit difference. When I do that, the red disappears and I'm left with a little notch. Okay, so back up. I need to decide where I want those legs to go on the body. Okay, now I want the front one to go in here, but I want it to go at a bit of an angle. Watch this. When you select this, you have the arrows pointing out away from it. If I click onto it again, the black arrows around the side change and they point sort of around it now. And if I grab onto a circle arrow, I'm not changing the thickness or the size of the notch, but I can rotate it. And that's going to be handy in this case because I can rotate it a bit. Now I can go in the middle and I can place it, say, right here. And I can zoom out a bit so you can see. Now my notch, remember, I have to make sure it's on the top by clicking that. I use the shift button to click the body. Now I've got the body selected, the notch selected. I hit the path button and go to difference, and I've made a little notch in there. And what do I have left to do? I'm going to go over here, click on this again so I have my rotation arrows in the corner. I'm going to go a bit like this maybe. I'm going to drag it into place. Oops, missed it. Drag it into place here. That's too sharp. Something like that. Okay. I'm going to make sure it's on the top. I'm going to select the body by holding my shift button down. If I didn't hold the shift button down, then I would lose the selection on my little red stick there. So now that they're both selected, I hit the path pull down menu, go to difference, and boom, I've got that there. Now, I would do the same again. I would take one of these, I would put a notch on my wing there, and then I might take another one, and I would make another notch there, probably to say, well, that's where I want my wings to go. Or maybe I want them to be more like flat or sideways like this and move it up into there. You play around with it. Like I said, this is a very simplistic drawing. It's just got two legs and one wing. You could have wings and arms and horns and whatever you want to do. And that's basically it. Once you've got these notches made, you're ready to go. Just save it and come get me to help you, and we'll take it over to the laser and cut it out. One other thing I have to point out, I should have said this earlier. Once you have your notches in here, you cannot change the size of anything. For example, if I decide at this point that I want this to be a bit wider, what I end up doing is I make my notch wider, and you can't do that. The notch has to be the thickness of the material, and the material is not going to change, so you can't change the width of that at all. And that's basically it. Other than, again, to say this is a very simplistic one. If you want to challenge yourself a bit more, here's a picture of one that's got like a body and arms and hands on the arms and legs and feet on the legs and head with horns and that sort of stuff coming up. You know, you might want to just try something simple like this at first, and then if you have more time, come back later on when there's a free computer and see how far your imagination can take you.